You know that feeling, right? You're in the middle of a disagreement and you can just feel it spiraling out of control. But what if I told you that conflict wasn't something you had to avoid? What if it could actually be a tool to bring you and your partner closer? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. How to re-architect our arguments from something destructive into a real opportunity for connection. And this, right here, is the absolute core of it all. The source material is crystal clear. Every single couple fights. Conflict is just a natural, unavoidable part of sharing a life with someone. The whole idea that happy couples don't argue, it's a total myth. The reality is that the couples who make it have just learned a different way to handle their disagreements. Okay, this is a huge mental shift for most of us, right? We're so conditioned to want to be right, to prove our point, to win. But in a relationship, that approach is a complete trap. Think about it. If you win by making your partner feel defeated or small or unheard, you haven't really won anything, have you? All you've done is create a tiny crack in the foundation of your relationship. The connection itself loses. And this breaks down that mindset shift perfectly. So on one side, you have the losing game. It's totally adversarial. The mindset is me versus you, and the only goal is to win. But the connecting game, that changes the entire dynamic. The mindset flips to us versus the problem. And all of a sudden, you're not enemies anymore. You're teammates, working together to figure this thing out. And the goal, it's not to win, it's simply to understand. So how do we know this stuff works? Well, that brings us to the absolutely groundbreaking work of researcher Dr. Julie Gottman. She and her team were able to identify specific communication patterns that can predict, get this, predict relationship failure with over 90% accuracy. Let that sink in. 90%. That's an incredible number, and it tells us that there are clear, identifiable behaviors that can literally wreck a relationship. So what are these toxic patterns? Well, they're often called the four horsemen. They're the destructive habits that tend to sneak into our arguments and do the most damage. And you know what? Just being able to spot them is the absolute first step to changing them. So here they are: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Let's take a second and break down what each of these actually looks like when you're in the heat of the moment. First up is criticism. Now, this is more than just a complaint. It's a direct attack on your partner as a person. So instead of "I'm feeling stressed when the dishes pile up," it comes out as "you're so lazy." See the difference? Then there's contempt, which is even more toxic. This is where you get the sarcasm, the disrespect, name-calling, even eye-rolling. It's basically communicating disgust. After that comes defensiveness, that knee-jerk reaction to make excuses or flip the blame instead of actually hearing what your partner's saying. And finally, there's stonewalling. This is when one person just completely shuts down, puts up a wall, and withdraws. Now listen, if you recognize yourself in any of these, don't freak out. It doesn't mean your relationship is doomed. It just means you need some better tools in your toolbox. And that brings us to the good stuff, the solution. If the four horsemen are the poison, then what psychologists call the repair attempt is the antidote. And honestly, this might be the single most important skill for navigating conflict in a healthy way. So what exactly is a repair attempt? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's any gesture, any statement, any action, no matter how big or small, that you use in the middle of a fight to hit the brakes. It's a circuit breaker that stops things from escalating and spiraling out of control. And repair attempts can look like a lot of different things. It could be as simple as just saying, "Hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. Can we please take a 5-minute break?" It could be using some light, appropriate humor to just break the tension. It might be reaching out and holding your partner's hand, or saying something really direct like, "I care about you and I really want to solve this together." You know, even a simple, genuine "I hear you" can be incredibly powerful. And here is the absolute best part about this. You don't have to be perfect. Your repair attempts can be clumsy. You can stumble over the words. The beauty of it is that it's not about some flawless execution. It's about the intention behind it. When both people are more committed to protecting the relationship than they are to being right, even a fumbling, awkward attempt to reconnect is going to work. So this all brings us to the big takeaway, right? When it comes down to it, every argument presents us with a choice. Are we going to protect our ego, our need to be right, or are we going to protect our connection? And this is the principle to remember. The goal isn't to build a relationship that's totally free of conflict. That's a fantasy. It doesn't exist. The real goal is to get good at conflict, The strongest relationships are built by people who learn how to fight with respect, who learn how to repair those little fractures quickly, and who consistently choose the health of their connection over the temporary satisfaction of winning. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to carry with you. The next time you feel that argument starting, that heat rising, just pause for 1 second and ask yourself this: am I trying to win right now, or am I trying to understand? That single question, that tiny pause, can change absolutely everything. It's the key to building a whole new architecture for your conflicts, one that's built not on demolition, but on connection.